was looking forward to sitting down to a simple crafting session, just a little bit of time to relax, put together this cute little shadow box, nothing major, right? Well, of course, it was one of those times where nothing goes right. They are rare, but they do happen. And this time I could not get my cut settings right for this cardstock. It was a whole ordeal. Hi, I'm Brenda Lambert. I'm a TJC licensed instructor for Silhouette. You found your way to Silhouette Success, and I do hope you're going to join our little community. I have people asking me all the time, what cut settings do you use for this? What cut settings do you use for that? And I don't really like to give out my cut settings because, as you're going to see in this video, they can be different every time you use your machine. Today we're talking about cardstock, and cardstock has different weights to it, different thickness, different texture. And some cardstocks are just more fibrous than others, which is one of the biggest factors. So when we are talking about materials and machines and blades, there's so many different variables that you kind of have to figure it out for yourself. And this is what this video is all about. You're going to see the issues that I had while I was cutting and how I resolved them. It took a few steps, but I got it narrowed down in no time, and I was able to complete the project with just minor headaches along the way. If you want to follow along and create this shadow box for yourself, I will link the file in the description below. It is from Creative Fabrica, and they are running an awesome special for the month of October. Not only are you going to get the all access yearly subscription for $47, they're also throwing in a huge bundle of graphics, 3D SVGs, and fonts from famous designers like Julia Dreams and Dreaming Tree. And then there are also exclusive discount vouchers to popular online craft stores. So if you've been looking to get a subscription to Creative Fabrica, or you've been looking to re-up your subscription, you're going to want to do that in the month of October because this deal is amazing. Anyway, let's get to the project and figure out those cut settings. I have this shadow box from Michaels. It is 8x8. It comes in a 3-pack. I have 10 different pieces of cardstock that go with the file that I have brought in. I'm going to use the measuring tape to measure the back of the shadow box just to make sure that it is accurate. And then I have some double-sided adhesive foam tape. I've brought in all 10 layers for this shadow box, and I've picked out a corresponding color for each layer. Now I can select all of the pieces and center them. I can see what the final design will look like, and I can also see that it is sized at 8 inches square, and that's exactly what I need. If you needed to change this, you could grab the corners and scale them this way, or you could group them all together and enter your dimensions in the height and width boxes up here. Just make sure that your aspect ratio button is locked when you scale it. I'm going to pull these off to the side, and I'm using a combination of letter size and 12 by 12 inch cardstock because I did not have all of the right colors in the letter size. So I'm keeping my media size at a 12 by 12, and I'm just going to move one layer onto the mat at a time. Head over to the send panel. This is set to cardstock plain. I'm going to switch it over to cardstock textured heavy 80 pound, and I'm going to turn on the overcut feature for this. We can get our media loaded and send that through. Once it's finished cutting, we can go back to design, move the first layer off of the mat, bring the second layer on, and just keep repeating this process until all of the layers are cut. Now keep in mind our settings right now are a depth of 3, a force of 30, 1 pass, speed of 4 with the overcut on. Now the cut lines on the first sheet and the second sheet looked pretty good, but when I started taking them off of the cutting mat, I noticed that some spots didn't cut all the way through, and I had to pop out a lot of the pieces. Most of these pieces were stuck in the corners, so I decided on the next round to bump the blade up by 1 and turn off the overcut. So now we're at a depth of 4, force of 30, 1 pass, speed of 4, no overcut. And this did a little bit better, but there were still areas that I had to pop out. I didn't really want to increase the depth anymore, so I switched over to 2 passes for the next layer. Now things really went sideways here. For some reason, the second pass did not cut in the same spot as the first pass, and this sheet was a total loss. So I turned my machine off and I reset the blade carriage. In order to do this, you turn your machine off and slide the carriage all the way to the right, then all the way back to the left. Repeat for a total of 3 times. Since I was not getting great cuts to begin with, I decided to clean my blade out as well. Using my little tool, I removed the cap. There was dust and debris in there. I cleaned all of that out. I replaced the cap, replaced the blade, and tried again. During the second attempt on this yellow sheet, I remembered that this yellow cardstock has never cut well. I cannot remember what brand it was, but it's not my typical brand. So I did not mess with the settings at this point. I just did what I could with the yellow sheet and moved on. These settings worked perfectly with the green sheet. It is a much better brand of cardstock. It is Recollection Collection from Michaels. It is my go-to cardstock brand. The next sheet that I needed to cut was another piece of that yellow, and once again, it did not do well at all. Keep in mind that the brand and quality of your cardstock makes a huge difference in your cut settings. There are different weights, different textures, but most of all, a lot of it depends on how fibrous the cardstock is. Now we do have 3 more sheets to cut, but they all cut very well, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but I want to let you know that I did use the settings of a blade depth of 4, force of 30, 2 passes, speed of 4, no overcut. I also want to share that I don't necessarily like to share my settings all the time, because what works for my machine, my blade, my paper may not work for your machine, your blade, your paper, which is why I wanted to go through the process and show you how to adjust your settings to accommodate for different problems that you may be having.